Hey gamers, it's time for a pop quiz. Who wears a red hat, blue overalls, a red shirt, has a mustache, and likes spaghetti? If you said Sonic, you're a literal retard, because I'm talking about Mario. Mario is the most iconic video game mascot of all time, for good reasons too. He boasts hundreds of titles on all Nintendo consoles. He's got racing games, sports games, party games, but for this video, I'm talking about the 2D platforming games. I'm going to rank all the 2D Mario games from worst to best, so here we go. I'm starting this list with Super Mario Bros. 2: The Lost Levels. Originally released in the US in 1993. Are there seriously any redeeming qualities of this game? I mean, it's not necessarily bad, but it's basically a hardcore version of the first Super Mario Bros. Game. Looks exactly the same, plays exactly the same, and the level design is just not up to quality as the rest of the series. Sometimes the design is just outright unfair. Some of these levels are levels you would see in Super Mario Maker. This game is made for the Japanese gamers that deemed the original Super Mario Bros. To be too easy. For real, this game was deemed so hard that we didn't even get this game when it originally came out. We wouldn't get this game until the Super Mario Bros. All-Star Collection came out for the SNES. Overall, this game is just the same as the original, but just unfair for the most part. Next on my list is Super Mario Land, released in 1988 for the Game Boy. If there's a Mario game that hasn't necessarily aged well, it's Super Mario Land. It's very short, but also incredibly memorable, mainly for how different it is and how it doesn't contain many of the usual Mario elements. Instead of the Mushroom Kingdom, this game takes place in Sarasa Land. Instead of rescuing Princess Peach, you rescue Princess Daisy. While its short length is usually criticized, I think it gives it high replayability. None of the bosses are really that memorable since they're all easy and you can beat them in less than a minute. Overall, it's better than its predecessor, but the limitations of the hardware hold it back compared to the rest. Now we got Super Mario Land 2: 6 Golden Coins, released in 1992 for the Game Boy. The sequel to the original Super Mario Land. This game is bigger, longer, and overall just better than its predecessor. I really enjoy the variety of the worlds in this game, like the tree zone, which has you going through a huge tree with big insects, and there's a Mario zone, which literally has you going through a big toy Mario. And there's a level where you go through his balls. There's balls everywhere. This game also introduced the sexiest Mario character of all time, Wario, a truly menacing and scary villain. This game is also a good example on how restrictions boost creativity. With the limitations of the Game Boy's hardware, it made the designers really think outside the box when it comes to level design and settings. Now, we got Super Mario Bros. 2 USA, released in 1988 for the NES. This game is weird, really weird, but also incredibly charming. This game is legit a fever dream. This game also entirely takes place in a dream too. A Mario game where you pick up turnips and throw them at your enemies? Everything you learned from the first Mario game does not apply here. When you jump on enemies, it doesn't do anything. Instead, you have to jump on them and then pick them up and throw them, adding an extra step, which is annoying. Another thing I really find annoying is having to go into the pots and grab the key, and then this flying masks start chasing you. Overall, this game is just so weird, but incredibly charming. It's just a game I want to play once and not really again. Now, we got New Super Mario Bros., released in 2006 for the Nintendo DS. This was a huge game for the Nintendo DS and for the series as a whole. This game not only brought a new generation and audience to the series, but also brought back the original generation and audience as well. At first, this game doesn't do anything too crazy or new. It plays it safe, but the further you get into the game, it starts to throw new ideas at you. This game was also the first 2D Mario game to introduce wall jumping, a now staple part of the series. It also introduced the Star Coins, which are 3 in every level. I like how for the most part Bowser Jr. is the main villain, but in true Mario fashion, it's Bowser who's actually the main villain. One of the most memorable levels in this game is a level that has you going through an underground pipe-like maze. If there's one thing this game best at over all the other games, it's the amazing collection of minigames. You can play poker and gamble in this game. What else do you want? You also got Toad walking around serving drinks in nice tuxedos. Next up, we got Super Mario Bros., released in 1985 for the NES. This game is what brought video games back into business. It's also what brought Nintendo from primarily a toy company into a video game company. This is probably the most iconic Mario game, and for good reasons. The graphics are iconic, the music, while simple, is incredibly memorable and catchy. This game also holds probably the most iconic video game level of all time, World 1-1. This level is the perfect example on how to teach the player how to play the game through its gameplay. Nowadays, games have boring tutorials that have to teach you, while this level teaches you in a more natural, organic way. Everything from the first level to the iconic power-ups, Toad telling you that the princess is in another castle, and all the way to finally rescuing Princess Toadstool. This game is a blast from the past that, while doesn't hold up too well these days, this game is still incredibly fun to play. Next up, gamers, is New Super Mario Bros. Wii, released in 2009 for the Nintendo Wii. While pretty generic at times, this game is overall just a very good game to play. It's not exactly super exciting or really anything interesting, but it's a very solid entry. This was the first Mario game to introduce 4-player co-op, which, while sounds good on paper, doesn't exactly work well. It's just too chaotic and more annoying than anything. One thing I really like about this game though are the new power-ups such as the penguin suit and the propeller suit. This game also brought back the Koopalings, who haven't been seen since Super Mario World. While the game is really easy, you can find a challenge in trying to 100% the whole game. The real challenge of this game lies in the Star World. Overall, this game is a very safe game in the series, but it's also just a very pleasant game from beginning to end. Next up is New Super Mario Bros. U, released in 2012 for the Wii U and re-released in 2020 for the Switch as the deluxe version. This is definitely the most underrated 2D Mario game, which is no surprise since it was released on a console that no one really cared for, and it was released during a time where everyone was getting sick of the new Super Mario Bros. Series. But this game is honestly just a blast to play. This game doesn't do anything exactly new, but its really tight level design makes up for it. This is also the first Mario game in HD, and while it has the same boring generic art design first introduced in New Super Mario Bros., this game still looks great. I also really like, instead of reaching Bowser's castle at the end, you have to make your way to Peach's castle that Bowser took over. Now we have Super Mario Bros. 3, released in 1989 for the NES. This game just explodes in new ideas and creativity. This game introduced the world map, the Koopalings, and a ton of new power-ups. Each level in this game brings something new and is incredibly memorable. The soundtrack is great, I love the art design, I love the airship levels, just everything. Only thing I don't really like is how easy the boss battles are, mainly the Koopalings. This game was such a big deal that even a movie disguised as a huge commercial came out shortly before it came out. This game also has the best increase of difficulty in any other Mario game. Starts off really easy, but by the time you get to World 8, you better master your skills if you want to make it to Bowser's Castle. Now, we have the best 2D Mario game of all time, Super Mario World, released in 1991 for the SNES. This is the magnum opus of 2D Mario games. The art style, graphics, soundtrack, level design, the world map, everything is just perfect. Every level is just oozing with creativity. This game also has my favorite setting. Instead of the Mushroom Kingdom, this game takes place on Dinosaur Island, which means a whole new cast of creative enemies. This was also the first game to introduce Yoshi, a now staple of the series. This game is also incredibly colorful. While I like the art style for Super Mario Bros. 3, I'm not the biggest fan of the color palette. While this game just explodes in colors. This game also has my favorite Bowser fight. I love seeing him fly around on his clown car, throwing toy Koopas on his head, and seeing Princess Peach panicking, throwing you mushrooms. No 2D Mario game has surpassed and will never surpass this absolute gem of a game. While I know for a fact not everyone's going to agree with this list, this is just my opinion, and that's what's fun about ranking games. Everyone's lists are just different, and it's fun seeing other people's opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Till next time. See ya.